Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Solutions with Courtney Anderson. I am Courtney Anderson, your host and guide for this show and this episode. In this episode, we have a follow-up to a two-part episode that was previously aired. So, our title today is Help! Help! Situation. How do I respond to insults and intimidation at work? So this is a help situation series, and these are, of course, shows that are suggested by feedback, interaction, questions, suggestions from people in our community that I work with doing consulting, and people that can reach out and contribute and share, and they say, please help. And so this was so large of a topic, although we did part one of this where we sort of laid the groundwork and sort of established that, yeah, there are people in the world that are not necessarily going to be a pleasure and a privilege to spend time with, as they have a focus on inflicting pain and destruction in the world on other people, and that's a reality. So we spend a lot of time sort of explaining, because sometimes there are situations where people can't handle with insults, intimidation, these types of direct, brutal, verbal insults and intimidation at work. People can't handle it because they're thinking, how could this happen? How could someone really exist who's intentionally, not an accident, not a misunderstanding, but really set out to inflict pain on other people? So we spent a lot of time on that in part one. And in part two, we tried to integrate a little bit more, looking at different self-defense and techniques that are shared and taught around the world for people in terms of just sort of society at large. We looked at different types of resources and began to understand that, when there are threatening situations, we have to be proactive. And we talked a lot about this idea of situational awareness, which is the concept of you're going to be aware of your surroundings and you're going to pay attention to your own instincts. And I shared the resource from Gavin DeBecker, the book, The Gift of Fear, which is a great resource. I strongly recommend it. It's about 400 pages, but it is so well constructed. And I think that one of the things that The Gift of Fear does is lay out again that you're not imagining things. It's very rare. So this isn't something that you're going to have to be dealing with, frequently in your life. But there are situations where you really are in danger. And there's an emotional, what we're focusing on in this show, the emotional part of someone who really is there to do you harm. They're a predator. And so I wanted to ensure we did the follow-up, because people have so many questions. They'll say, okay, I understand these people exist. I accept it. I'm not going to be so naive. I'm not going to fail to trust my own judgment. I will accept that in a rare situation I will run into this, and I'm ready to be proactive, assertive, and defend myself. Great. And then in part two, we talked about some of the things that we need to do in terms of listening to our intuition, in terms of not being fearful of, oh my goodness, someone thought I was rude, or I hurt someone's feelings, when there may really be a situation where we're at risk. And so we're going to risk the fact that someone might think that we're not very nice because we're in a potential situation where we're in danger. But I still had questions from people. How do I do it? Okay, I accept that it's happening. I understand that in this situation I've mustered up, the energy, the courage, and I'm ready to defend myself. But how do I do it? Literally, what do I do? I'm standing there, right? Or I'm listening on the phone, or I'm sitting in the room in a meeting, and somebody just did this. They just said something it wasn't a misunderstanding. It was cruel, and it was directly oriented towards me, and it was brutal. All right, so that's why we're here in part 3. One of the first things that we want to do is to always remember that the self-defense begins before we leave our happy place. And our happy place, of course, sometimes in speeches and programs, I'll call it the happiest place, in our world, in our universe. Maybe not on Earth, but in our world. And what am I referring to? It's not an amusement park we build, in our backyard, but what it is that we have to make it a priority and then execute a plan to create a safe place. And a safe place in our world is exactly what it sounds like. It's a physical, preferably physical space where we can have control over who comes in and who has access. We're going to do everything in our power to prevent letting people into that physical space who are abusive, who are cruel, who have intent to hurt us. Then we're going to, on the more positive side, we're going to go ahead and kind of feather our nest, right? So this is our safe place. This is the happiest place in the universe for us. And if we like, the smell of tangerines, then we're going to have the smell of tangerines. If we want to, if the color, green just makes us gleeful, and that's what makes us happy, then it's going to be green everywhere. I mean, this is it. This is the place where we are going to absolutely expand our desires and our needs, and we're going to fill this space, and it's going to be a combination of a safe place, again, where we're having some control, or as much as control as possible, over who's allowed in there. And we are also making it our happy place. So the color, the smell, the furniture, the lack of furniture. I mean, whatever you want. Sometimes it's interesting. I'll visit someone's place that should be their happiest place in the universe, and they'll immediately start making excuses and, sort of diminishing their own beliefs and value. And they'll say things like, oh, don't look over there. That's just an old painting. I don't even know why I hung it up. It's just so, I don't know. And then, oh, don't look at that carpet. Oh, look, stop. It's your place. If you want it to be, purple and green and orange with polka dots and stripes and whatever, this is your place. And you have the right to define your boundaries and to do what makes you happy somewhere in the world. So, of course, we're speaking to people that are adults, so we're not talking to a child who doesn't have the ability to do that, but you're an adult. So maybe it's not a whole place, maybe it's a room, maybe it's not a whole room, it's a corner. Sometimes in media they'll have a home show or something, and they'll have what they call the man cave, and it's sort of the same idea, right? But it's a gender specific, and it's sort of like, have a place or a corner or a room or, a closet or something where it's your stuff. And you can go there and you can just be you. And there's so much value to this psychologically, because when we're looking at how can I prepare to go to work and deal with what is, remember, this is a very tiny, rare situation, but there is a predator. There's someone there whose intent is to cause pain and inflict pain. I cannot be able to address that until I have the predicate of my happy place. And in your happy place, you must invest in yourself. It's your place. I don't care what anybody else thinks. That's the whole point of it. It's literally your indulgence. Do you like this color? Do you like that smell? Do you not like any color? Do you don't want any color? Any smell? Do you want it stark white? Do you want it? I mean, this is your chance to be you, and don't ever diminish that. You don't owe anybody any explanations. I'm going to repeat that. You do not owe anyone any explanation. You have the right to create your space. So you created your space. You're there. You've rested. Whatever your schedule is, whether you rest during the day or you rest during the night, it's relevant. But you've had your rest period. We do a whole bunch of shows on that. I'm such a proponent that it's just the foundation. I must have my full sleep. My body must be able to gain all of the benefits that are amazing that happen while we're sleeping, and we're getting a full quantity and a high quality caliber of rest. So we've done that. So we wake, and we wake refreshed. If you're doing this part of the program correctly, you don't ever wake up stressed out. You don't wake up, oh, I'm already tired. No, what? I mean, that's a whole other program. You haven't planned your sleep hygiene. But we wake up, and we're refreshed, and we're kind of excited about the world, right? So I'm there. I'm in my happy place. I'm preparing myself for the world. And, again, whatever way gives you the fullest sense of confidence in yourself. This goes deep to all these multitudes of issues of what you wear, how you groom yourself, and the things that make you feel good. So invest in that. Invest in that. So you're feeling your best. Why? Because you're getting ready. You're putting on your armor to go out, and really, honestly, in this situation, to a sense of at some level, it's a battle. So you need all of your weapons, and your weapons they're not spears or stones or knives. What your weapons are the ability to control your own mind. And that's why it's so imperative that you have your rest and that you have your place where you're comfortable and you're safe, your happiest place in the universe while you're getting ready, that you indulge in the things that make you feel your best as you're getting ready to go out into the world, especially because now you know that you're going to be encountering an entity there in the workplace that is absolutely intent on doing you harm. So all of this is your preparation, just like someone going into to battle would get their weapons and get them cleaned up, and they take them apart and put them together, and they make sure that everything was in working condition. That's what you're doing. So it sounds like it's not really related, but it is. So your rest, the wonderful smell of the coffee you like that's getting you ready, all of this is you getting ready for the war. It's an emotional, psychological war. So you have to fill up your emotional and psychological reserves. That's what all this is about. I personally like the system because all the things that are filling up my psychological and emotional reserves are the things that I like, right? So I had my rest. I had my favorite item to drink. For me, I like my decaf teas, but they're all different flavors. I have the aromas and scents in my environment and my happiest place in the universe that calm me, that make me feel happy. I have my colors and the art that I like, and the music that I like, and all this is getting me ready to go out and handle the predator. If you skip any of these steps, then you're going to be at such a disadvantage that you're probably not going to be able to muster the resources that you need to prevail, because you're tired, because you're cranky, because you're dehydrated, because you're not relaxed, and because you're not controlling your mind, because your mind is everywhere. Your mind is, oh my goodness, what about that bill? And oh my goodness, I think this other person's mad at me. And oh my goodness, I've messed up and I screwed up the laundry. And and when you're in all these places, and you're imagine your mental resources, okay? And the mind is just so fascinating. We did a program about the 70,000. That's not an accident. 70,000 thoughts a day the average human has. That's amazing. So there's a lot going on. What you're trying to do is marshal and control those thoughts so that you can be able to deploy them the way you need them. It will not work if you're scattered, if you're not in control. So you get in control of your physical space that allows you to then maximize your ability to control your mental space. I'm a huge proponent, and I've shared in many different programs, of a lot of the techniques of meditation and mindfulness, and a lot of that is finding a way, again, just to quiet your mind, but to go into your mind. Can't quiet it. In other words, you have all these thoughts, right, the 70,000 thoughts a day. Most of us have no clue what's going on. It's just sort of like, here's a thought, I don't know. And many people get distracted, right? So I started to do this and think about this one thing, but now I was thinking about my fact that, my foot hurts, and I wonder if I'm going to be able to, make my foot stop hurting, and now I totally forgot about the other thing I was supposed to be dealing with. The whole purpose is you have to go into some kind of quiet space and literally just listen to yourself. It sounds weird, but it's incredibly powerful. So I strongly suggest, as I have in many other programs, that you invest in some version of this until you start to begin to understand what's really happening in your own mind. Then instead of being at some level able to have some input or some control or some ability to control the way you react to things, you don't, because you're just sort of sitting here at the mercy of these experiences, but you don't ever spend the time with yourself. So that's That's part of it, right? So I'm in my physical space. I'm getting my senses. I'm hydrated. I'm well rested. I use my program of whatever it might be to help with me understanding how my mind is working and getting inside that quiet space to begin to have some ability to either control my reactions or to be able to better accept and understand how my thoughts work. Okay, so here I am. I'm feeling great. I put on my grooming and my best sort of way I present myself to the world, right? So whatever that is, okay, my hair, if I'm bald, my scalp, my skin, whatever it is that makes you feel like this is some of the best me. Now I'm out of the door. If you skip any of this again, you're going to be like going into battle against somebody that's got a lot of resources and you really don't have any. These are your weapons. Okay, so we've done all this. My physical space is fantastic. I've rested. I'm hydrated. I'm feeling good about myself. I've spent the time in my mind understanding how it works and having some ability to begin to impact or influence how I react to situations. So here I am. I'm out in the world. Again, big picture, we're always asking ourselves, right? Why am I here? Back to the choices that we make, reminding ourselves, you're not going to necessarily succeed with the bully at work if you hate your job and you don't even know why you're there to begin with. You might do a short-term situation where you can succeed, but you won't be able to do it long-term because the total calculation is one where you feel like, I don't like this place to begin with. So I hate the job. I hate my boss. I hate the commute. I hate my chair. I hate the people next to me. I hate the bathroom. I don't even like the work. And now I have a bully, right? I mean, whew. That's not a long-term solution for surpassing our goals in life, right? And we're always asking, how can we surpass our goals? So we're going to have to begin to deconstruct later, bigger picture, where this isn't the right situation. But for the immediacy, I've done everything I can in maximizing my resources. What are my resources? Psychological, emotional, physiological, right? That's what all that was. I was building up all my reserves. I'm as satiated, right? I'm as full as I can be of rest and good feelings about myself, and I'm as in control of my mind, right? Which is my thoughts, which also will be my behavior, as I can be. And I'm aware, right, from part one of this episode that I'm going to the place, right, and there's the bully. Sure enough, there they are. Okay. So when you look in the show description, I shared again this example I shared from a while ago now, where I was at work and someone tells me that I'm ugly and my face is distracting, which it was an interesting moment. So we talk about the fact that you immediately, when you handle someone who is a predator, emotional predator, you immediately move away from the why question. The why question is somebody gets caught in that mental cul-de-sac. Well, why do they not like me? Why do they think I'm ugly? Why do they think I'm stupid? Okay, look, who cares? I mean, there's an answer to the why. Not even why they think that, which is actually silly. I mean, they insulted you. So, I mean, are you going to debate whether or not you're an idiot? Are you going to debate whether or not you're ugly? I mean, that's a perception thing, and that's subjective. So I can't win that battle. And then other people get caught in this thing of the why question of why would they be mean? Why would someone act like that? Well, there's a long answer to it, and it's a good question, big picture, because it's true that somebody who's a predator almost always has an explanation. So when you look into their life experience, into their childhood, and you explore their choices and sort of what's happened in their life, you usually can understand at some level why inflicting pain is something that they've chosen to engage in. My argument, though, in real life is when someone's in front of you in your face and they're attacking you, it's not really the best use of your resources at that moment to go in to try to figure out how to fix them. The bigger issue is how can you engage in behavior to take control of the situation to the best of your ability to teach them that they're not going to make you a victim. So here we go. First thing, so I'm at work. It's physical. The person can see me. So either we're physically in the same space or we're on video chat and they can see my face. All right, we're going to use what we call a professional face. And I've done a ton of programs about this over the 15 years. The professional face is this. the reason I did all my sleep and my smells and my painting and my colors and all my happy place and in my universe before I left to go out into the world is now I'm totally calm and I'm as powerful as I can be emotionally because my needs are met, right? And so when I'm interacting with other people, especially when I have a predator, what the predator is looking for is clues and cues for my behavior that teach them that their behavior is working, right? If they get what they want, they keep doing it. I mean, that's not complicated. And so if I teach them through my behavior that it's working, then they're just going to keep doing it because that's what they wanted, right? Their goal is what? To inflict pain. All right. So if they're doing something and then they start to observe it's working, I'm inflicting pain, then they keep doing it and they also escalate. How do they know it's working? How do they know they're inflicting pain? Well, if you start crying, if your mouth starts to tremor and your eyes are watering. So you're not totally crying, but you're looking like you're about to cry. If your facial expression starts showing that you're in pain, that your feelings have been hurt, they're winning. Everything that you do to teach them that it's working, that they're inflicting pain, is going to make them keep doing it. So your professional face is you're thinking about the fact that you had a wonderful sleep, that you have a great, happy place in the universe, that your corner or room or whatever it is in the world, it's your space, and that when you're there, you feel so good. You're also thinking about the fact that you like you. Some of you, I hope, even, dare I say, love you. That means that when you think about you, you feel compassion, you feel pride, you feel admiration and respect for this you. And because of that, all those positive things you think about, the professional face, you're going to relax your facial muscles, okay? I mean, totally relax them. Your professional face sends these messages to other people. It is open, okay? So that means you're not tightening any of your muscles, right? So release the muscles around your mouth. You're not squinting around your eyes. Your face is totally relaxed, or as relaxed as you can be, okay? So you're relaxed, you're open, and you're non-judgmental. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to open your eyes, okay, to not an unnatural where you're sort of glaring at someone, but a nice open eye, because you want to show people that you're engaged. And then your face is relaxed. So my forehead's not scrunched up. Again, I'm not squinting my eyes. My mouth isn't twisted. I'm completely as sort of placid as I can be. Imagine you're someone that's had a lot of Botox, right? The injections they give where people don't get wrinkles, but they also can't really emote, because their face is sort of paralyzed. That's kind of what you're going for. So your eyes are sort of, sort of arch the eye a little bit at the top, okay? Face is totally relaxed. All right, so I'm open, I'm non-judgmental. And then you're not going to really say much. When you put your professional face on, you're mostly going to make verbal sounds and cues. You'll make noises like, Again, these are very relaxed. You hear the tone, very, Professional face you use a lot. You use professional face when you're interacting with anyone in a position of power. So a boss, a client. Professional face just shows I'm attentive, I'm relaxed, I'm non-judgmental, and then you make these noises that are supportive noises showing a couple of things. One, that you're listening, that you heard the person, right? So, And they're very, again, supporting the relaxed facial expression. They're not sharp noises. They're not, Okay, those are sharp, right? That's showing I disagree, I'm shocked, what? No. These are very kind of calm tones. Just sort of showing I'm listening. Okay. So here's the person. The person's coming. The person's standing right next to me. The person is saying to me, literally they're saying to me, you're ugly. Your face is distracted. Maybe they're saying, you're an idiot. Maybe they're saying, how can someone like you come in a room like this with no credibility? They're saying whatever it is that they think will work to inflict pain. My facial expression, again, totally relaxed, non-judgmental. Again, eye contact is very important. In the American culture, a lot of sort of Western cultures, eye contact is a symbol of confidence and assertiveness and power. If you don't look at somebody in the eye, it does a couple of things. It might be that you feel they're beneath you, but that also is a sign that they're getting to you, meaning psychologically they're in control. So you don't need to hold eye contact. Remember, this is a bully and a predator, but you are letting them know that you see them. So you're going to make eye contact. Now remember, your emotional base for all of this is, what is your goal? Your goal is to teach them you are in control. You are in control of your emotions, and you are in control of your choices. So if you want to work here, you will. If you want to engage in this project, you will. If you want to go up for this promotion, you will. If that's exactly it, that this is your control. This is the self-defense part, right? So you're going to look them in the eye briefly. Again, open, relaxed face, relaxed muscles, and you're going to make those little noises. So the person's saying to me, "You're ugly." And then I'm doing, So I heard you, right? And it's not getting to me. Now, the best position to be in is one where really seriously it's not getting to you. Because, look, most of the things that people use that are verbal attacks, bullying, intimidation, harassment at work, most of these are subjective. So whether or not someone thinks somebody's ugly is totally their opinion. If someone thinks somebody's an idiot, is also to a certain degree subjective. If someone thinks that someone is, quote, not good enough, that's subjective. Now, if somebody's yelling at me, you're 5'3", right? That's actually an accurate fact. I am. I argue I'm 5'3.5", but most people don't use things like that as insult because it doesn't carry enough. Now, it might be, I guess, a situation where my height is not ideal for my job, and I guess somebody's trying to show that I'm lacking the qualities. But the whole point is that no matter whatever it is they're saying is irrelevant. That's them. That's all about them trying to get me to be in pain. I get to choose whether or not I'm going to be in pain. It's my choice. It is my choice. And I shared a quote in the show notes, a Martin Luther King Jr. quote, and it's the night before Martin Luther King Jr. Was assassinated in 1968. He gave a big speech, which he did, just my goodness, it's so prolific. So he gave a speech, and it's sort of like this speech where he talked about he'd seen a mountaintop and he wasn't scared about life or death. But he had a quote in there, and he said something, he was telling a story, and he said something like, whenever men and women straighten their backs up, they are going somewhere. Because a man can't ride your back unless it is bent. And there's a visual to that, right? You can literally see someone's bent over and someone else can sort of just on their back and ride them. But there's the psychological argument to that is stand up. And that's what you're doing this bully. You have your professional face on. So again, they can see you either physically in the same space or you're online. I would even use professional face when you're on the phone and they can't see you. Or you're you're reading an email from them. Because look, you're in control. And you have the right to exist. And you have the right to work. And you have the right to be awesome. And you also have the right at times to be awful. And they aren't going to be someone who's going to come, inflict pain, and change your choices. That's the whole point of this. They're going to learn that they're going to need to look somewhere else for a victim. All I'm going to do is make eye contact if that's appropriate, briefly. I'm going to have my professional face so they're not going to see any reaction. Because you know what? I don't care about what they think about me. That's on them. That's their choice. There's a lot of people in the world who think bad things of all of us. But the majority of the people in the world don't think anything about us at all because they're sitting around thinking about themselves as they should be. And I understand that when someone goes to inflict pain, that's about them. That is not about me. And I'm changing the calculus of this relationship because you are not going to have any clue that your plan to make me feel pain is working. Ideally, it shouldn't work. I shouldn't feel pain because I have the right not to. And I'm going to leave that person there feeling like they can't, quote, get to me. Because I'm not getting a reaction. I will not react. I don't care. That's their choice. And I've made my choices. And if I feel good about my choices, I'm going to keep feeling good. No one can take our joy away from us. So this concludes the follow-on, part 3. I encourage you to come to CourtneyAnderson.com as always. I've appreciated you joining me for this episode and continued good work.